Hello. First of all, I have to do a little disclaimer. I'm not a car theft. I would not steal your car, and I would not try to steal any car. So all of what you see during this presentation is my own experience on my own cars. Someone tried to steal my own cars, and I'll tell you all about that. And yes, definitely my own cars. So who am I? I'm a system administrator. I started at 98, I think. I started playing with Linux. I like to play with electronics. Currently, I'm CEO of 1H and also CTO of GetCoder, head of DevOps of SiteGround, and I'm teaching Linux system administration and network security courses in Sofia University. I'm one of the organizers of OpenFest and a few other events in Bulgaria. During my spare time, I like to play with hardware. I like home automation systems, car automation systems. So this talk is more about how I decided to protect my car. And this is my car. Strange, it doesn't look like this. It's more like this. Sorry for that. This is my car. It's called Maznio, and it's pink since 2 weeks ago. So I want to protect this car from getting away from me. And unfortunately, cars are very strange mobile devices that can actually be taken away from you very, very easily. And protecting a device that can move with 150 kilometers an hour is a bit of a problem. And making it stay still is another completely different problem that all car manufacturers are trying to solve. And me, as not a car manufacturer, I want to chain my car to the ground when it is parked wherever I parked it, even in the woods. So, is it at all possible to secure a car? My thinking is not. It's impossible. Everyone that wants to steal your car will steal it. By the end of this talk, most of you that have cars would go and see to check if their cars are still there. Probably. I hope so. So, the physical security of any car is there is no physical security of a car. My meaning is that all of the locks can be picked. I own a set of these, and actually with an hour of playing with these, you can open your car usually. Most of the car locks are pretty easy, even though they look very, very hard to pick. They're sometimes easier than door locks, normal house locks. So picking your car shouldn't be a problem, and if you're lucky, when someone tries to steal something from your car, he will be using these tools and he will not damage your car. And this is only if you're very, 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 very lucky. Because most of the times this is what you face, and I have faced it quite some times, like 5 times already on my cars. And I hate it. So one of my friends actually told me about his father seeing this one time on his car. He decided not to keep anything valuable in his car, and his car is always, always, always unlocked. Unfortunately, even though it is unlocked, some thieves simply don't bother to check if the door is open. They simply break the glass. So you don't care much about your locks. These locks require a little force to be broken out of the metal that they're connected to. It's not very hard to remove them as a whole. Also, as you can see, this lock was picked by some idiot with a screwdriver, and he tried to unlock the door and most probably was unable to turn it, so he decided to break behind it. So it wasn't very, very hard to unlock that car. And it happened to me. My car requires just a little bit more than a push to remove the keyhole and open the door. So the keyhole is something that is imaginary, and it can stop only polite guys. Only people that don't want to steal your car. But everyone that wants to do it, they don't care about that. It's interesting to see this. This car door that is opened for repairs, and usually here you have a metal thing or plastic thing that is in the gap between the window and the iron of the door. And when you remove this, because it's easily removed, you can actually access most parts of the door between the glass and everything else. And most cars usually have something to unlock the door from inside, a button, and this button is not very hard to reach. I myself have done so to open the door of one of my cars because I simply forgot the keys inside it. So it was locked from the alarm, and I couldn't open it. It was funny to pick your own car, and it was stressful for me. I don't know for the thieves that are stealing cars, but for me it was stressful to see people walking around me and not telling me anything that I'm trying to open this car with a piece of metal from the outside. Everyone could see me. Even the police officer stopped by, looked at me for a minute, and continued. So this is how stupid it is to protect your car. Obviously, the thieves don't care. They are not bothered by it because they can simply say, okay, this is my car, you see these are my keys there. But if the owner of the car is like me and I can forget my keys inside the car for a week, it's a problem. It's a big problem. And this is a very easy way to open your car. So last year, someone tried to steal one of my cars, and this year I was in Barcelona like 2 weeks ago and lost the keys to the rental car, and then I saw that. The company came, they didn't have spare keys for the car, so they came with this and simply did that. They pumped this thing, air jacked the door, opened it just a little bit, then unlocked it from the inside, simply pushing the button unlock on the door with a simple piece of metal, I think meter and a half long. So this kit here allows you to open most doors, and it's strange how easy it is to use it, and it's even stranger the price. And you can order it right now. I'm not telling you to order it, just keep in mind that it's pretty cheap for everyone, even though more car thieves don't simply use these things, they break your glass. Again, very easy. Do not watch YouTube videos how to break the glass of a car. It's hilarious, too much. So, the other thing, why the hell? Let me change this to maybe, what was it? This one. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, one other thing is that if you protect your car, make it as secure as possible. No one could move it from there without your keys and whatever. Unfortunately, there are these things here that allows anyone to simply put them under the wheels of your car and tow your car away from you without even triggering the alarm at all. And I have to tell you that this thing, even though the alarm was on this car, the alarm never triggered. We were in underground garage, never had a sound from that car. This is not from Barcelona. I found it on the internet, but it looked exactly the same. Two guys with a tow truck came, opened the door, gave me all my belongings from the car, and then put those things under the wheels of the car and tow it away. So if you think that no one would be able to move your car, think twice. In my case, in Sofia, I have the opportunity to park in something like a garden. It's more like an off-road test track, where I believe these wouldn't work pretty easy. So this is where I parked the pink car, just to be sure that no one could move it and only an SUV can reach it again. Yeah, it's stupid, I know, but it's protecting from this. And then we go to the alarms, and I will be speaking more about the technical aspect of the protection of your car. And most alarms don't detect, as we saw, air jacking. Some alarms are pretty easy because they have to be connected while you're not in the car. They have to be powered on. They can be fried by simply using a shocking. The police taser, not taser, but the police stick, yeah, police stick. Okay, so the idea is that you simply apply 10,000 volts to any metal part of your car, and you shock everything inside it that is currently connected. Most of the computers are not currently connected because you haven't started the car, but the alarm has to be connected. And most alarms are not protected at all from this, so you can disable the alarm like this. And some Mercedes S-Class had very strange options to their alarms. You could simply light a fire underneath the car and it will unlock itself. So yeah, alarms are pretty stupid sometimes. You can disable them. And the other thing is that most default alarms are using the horns of your car. It should be okay if the horns were not just on the back of your grille of the car. So what happened to me, to my car that is parked outside, and it still has these two holes in the grille that were cut from the thieves, and they simply cut the cables to my horns. So no sound, nothing from my car at all, and it would be someone else's car right now if it wasn't for some other things that I will tell you more about it. Some of the alarms have use of the flash and lights of your car to simply locate your car. In my case, it's dark where I'm parking the car, and if I don't see any lights, I wouldn't know if it is my car or someone else's car that is sounding the alarm. You see something else in a minute. So what the immobilizer systems do usually on your cars? Immobilizer systems are trying to protect your car by simply not allowing it to start at all. So most of the cars now have too many computers to run without a computer. So immobilizers try to disable all of your computers. But if you have an older car like mine, it's a little bit stranger, because that car has electricity only for starting and a little bit for controlling the engine and almost nothing else. So with these cars, you cannot electrically restrict the car too much. There are only a few parts, like fuel pump, that requires electricity, your engine for controlling the flow of fuel and air, and your start computer, nothing else. And for these, there are only a few cables. These are mostly the easiest cars to steal. The new cars, on the other hand, have like my Land Cruiser right now has 7 computers in it, 7 different separated computers. And if some of those is not responding, the whole car will not move at all. And it has a separate computer only to authenticate the key and the other computers with the key. So in my case, these guys simply stole the starting computer with the key, and I had 3-ton brick in front of my home and I couldn't move it at all. So you can, immobilizers are breaking the connections between computers, between electronic parts of your car. And unfortunately for you, it's not random, the place where they will break the connection of a certain computer or cable. It's a standardized place. So when I bought my Land Cruiser, I actually bought the service guide with it. So I had all the electrical schematics of the car in front of me. I studied them well and found where I could break the cables on the most non-intuitive place, and not once like the most immobilizers. I can do it on like 3 to 5 places. The authentication that the immobilizer requires is usually a radio key, and these radio keys are pretty stupid most of the times. If you have a receiver on 315 MHz and 434 MHz, which are standard frequencies, and as standard frequencies, there are standard receivers for $5 each. You can connect those to an Arduino and snoop on the codes. And since these devices lack the power to have any good encryption, they simply use some codes that you can replay later. So sometimes they have a little bit better security, but if you look over the internet, there are like 10 papers that describe how alarm systems work and how you can actually pick all of these radio signals and replay them and open most cars. Not all of them, but most cars. Even last year, the BMW 7 Series was opened on Black Hat, I think, or something like that, like this. I have watched the video, not the presentation. So for the lights, have you used something like this to protect your car from the sun? Now the guys that tried to steal my car used that, and that is a kitchen aluminum foil, and they used just a little bit of spit or water, I don't know, and glued that to all of my lights, turn signals and everything. So after they cut the horns, now they covered all of the lights, and this doesn't allow any light to get out. I wouldn't be able to see anything in that dark spot where I'm parking my car, and they could work freely for hours without no one understanding that there is someone picking your car right now and taking it away. I don't have pictures of my car covered with that. I was thinking that I should do that, but sorry. It's a strange experience to see that. The first thing you see, you think, were I at the service? Did they left that, or maybe the auto cleaning company? I don't know. Someone forgot it, and then you see the open door, and something changes. So general thing, yes, most cars 315 kHz, okay, kHz, not megahertz, sorry. Scanner for those you can buy from Deal Extreme for around $30. There's the Chinese things sometimes comes with software for Windows that you can actually collect all the information. These are only receivers, but for the same amount, or like $40, you can also buy a transceiver. So you get my point, right? I hope so. Now, these replay attacks that I'm talking about, they're not easy, all of them. Some of them you actually have to understand the protocol, because they're sending the information with different clocks every time based on a table that they keep in the key. and they have the same table for if you like 10 different codes that are using to start the sequence of sending the actual number that is your key. It's pretty simple. If you want to steal someone's car with a key, you have to simply wait for 10 or 20 times when he's walking or unlocking his car. After that, you have all the codes that you need, and most of the time, if there is something that they decide to do crypto, which is almost no crypto, it's usually a sort of a certain number that you have to find. It's not very hard, and for most alarms, for the default alarms, there is information on the internet how to do it. So if the person that is trying to steal your car is well educated, this shouldn't be a big problem. And these $30 devices are for very expensive cars, like 100,000 euros or more. They use the same stupid technology, and it's strange. So the other cars that are not very easy to crack with this system, you should go with another system that is directly braking the car, and after you brake the car, break the window or open the car, whatever you want, after you enter in the car, some of the cars, for like in my case with Toyota, they use the same start computer on most of their cars, so you can actually get a replacement starting computer with a key that is linked to this computer, and simply open the car, replace the starting computer with a new one, and this new one is linked to your keys that you already have, and you simply start the car and go. That's a very strange situation, but BMW, Toyota, Volvo, all of them have this problem. And so what I decided to do to prevent hacking, I decided to have an Arduino with a GSM shield for simply connecting to my car, GPS shield to find where my car is, Bluetooth shield, which is still not, it's still in the working, for removing my keys as a whole. RFID, this is for protecting everything inside the car with RFID. And since there is jamming, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, I also have Iridium ordered this year, and the relay shields, I'll show you more about it. So the GSM shields. I have them here, actually, some of those. This is a GSM shield from SparkFun, this is from Deal Extreme. Both are similar prices. Both of them are pretty easy to work with. I actually have a project at GitHub, and there is a link at the end of the presentation that makes use of these shields to turn on and off relays. Actually, what I'm doing with the cars. So I needed that with an Arduino. Then I needed a GPS shield, which is this thing here. And in a few minutes I'll show you a little bit different GPS shield. So these GPS devices, they're pretty easy. They're pretty easy to work with. There are a lot of tutorials online how to connect the GPS to your Arduino and report the information from it. So what you would need to is combine both the GSM and GPS shields, which is something like this. Okay, keep them like this, and add a very small program to your Arduino, so when you send an SMS to your GSM shield, it will collect the information from the GPS, like where the car is, and it will send you an SMS back with the coordinates, and if you attach those coordinates to OpenStreetMap or Google Maps, you actually get a link with the position of your car at the moment. That's pretty neat to have when you don't see your car in front of your home. So there is one other thing that I found. After I built this thing at home for my car, I found this device called Geogram One, which actually combines both GPS and GSM and Arduino on the same board. So now I don't have three boards, so underneath here I should have an Arduino Uno, which means that this device is just this big. So it's not very small. It's not extremely big, but it's not very small. And compare it with this one, which is the same thing, the same three things, Arduino with GSM, GPS, here with the ability to control some relays. Perfect, and it also has full firmware online at GitHub, so you can download it, upload it, and have this functionality with SMS messaging. Unfortunately, the SMS messaging is a tricky part, because how would you authenticate yourself to this device? First of all, it lacks the pure crypto capability. It doesn't have random number generator, it doesn't have a very fast processor. So what do? In my case, I have pushed online only the part of the code that is how to get the SMS message and how to authenticate that this number that sent the SMS is a number that is allowed in my list. But numbers are pretty easy to forge. Everyone here that has ever played with VoIP knows that spoofing a number is the easiest thing. You simply call your VoIP provider and tell them, okay, this is the number I want to get out with. That's it. So you don't want the number to be the only thing. In my case, I added one-time passwords for each command, and I have to upload a new list of passwords every time they finish. It's stupid, but it works. So it depends how much time, how often you want to use the SMS messaging. The other thing is from DirectStream. I haven't ordered that because I have all the other things here, but a friend of mine told me that it works also, but it requires Arduino Uno. It's a GSM GPS shield that is similar to this one, but also have the GPS here. It is connected directly to Arduino Uno. So after that, I wanted to have a Bluetooth authentication for my car. I simply don't want to open the car with my keys at all. Obviously, the keys, the key holes are easily pickable. It's very easy to destroy them, and nobody actually cares about them except me. So why should I keep them? I usually keep my phone with me, and most of you usually keep your phones with you, and most of your phones have Bluetooth in them. And the thing that I'm currently testing is Bluetooth Shield with Bluetooth B to authenticate my phone against the Arduino, and the Arduino simply opening the doors for me when I'm in range and the app says open. It's easy, but I haven't done it still on my car. It's a work in progress. And for this, you can actually combine Arduino Leonardo with Bluetooth transmitter, and you get BOE Duino. BOE Duino. Now, the other thing, this is what saved my car last year. It's an RFID reader. I actually have it here. It's 12. This is the reader, and you usually need a circuit board, something like this one, or sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is our Arduino Uno. Usually when you have all the things stacked together, like this one, give me a sec. Almost there. Yeah. Okay. So this is how big it is. And keep this in mind because I'll show you a little bit different Arduino in a bit. So for the RFID, this is the reader and this is the circuit board when you want to solder it somewhere in your car instead of experimenting like with this one. So what I did was having an Arduino, a few relays, something like these here, like these, in my car and controlled by the Arduino. If you start the car and 30 seconds after that the RFID haven't saw a card that is whitelisted inside the Arduino, it simply stops the power to the fuel pump. And for my Land Cruiser I'm also thinking a bit more things like stopping the shift lever because you can block it, and disconnecting all the computers inside of the car by simply sabotaging the canvas. So this thing saved my car last year because I don't keep my RFID card inside of the car, and when they tried to steal the car, they removed the starting computer, they inserted their own starting computer that was linked to their keys, but unfortunately 30 seconds after they started the car simply stopped. It moved like 1.5 meters. So they tried it again, it moved maybe a little bit more and it stopped. So maybe they were scared, I don't know, but they left the car there. So I was happy in the morning to call the police and simply tell them, okay, someone tried to steal my car.
Did they leave their RFID thing?
No, the RFID is mine.
I mean, did they leave their starter?
No, they actually stole my starting computer. I had to go to Barcelona on a Euro trip on the next day, but unfortunately Toyota told me that I need at least 2 weeks to order the new starting computer. So the car was a 3 ton of brick in front of my home. So the other thing, Iridium. Why the hell would someone need a satellite phone or satellite tracking inside of their car? And I'll tell you why. This thing here works on very standard frequencies like all of your phones here, and the strange thing is that for these devices you can buy for $60 a jammer from the Chinese, Deal Extreme again.
It's even cheaper.
Yeah, maybe. And you can even do it without a jammer. You can simply get a transmitter from a microwave. If used properly, you wouldn't be stereo for till the end of your life. So you can jam the signals of your GSMs, and it's a problem for you because jamming this means that you will no longer be able to send an SMS with information where your car is. So I want to be sure that I have another way of reaching my car, and since Iridium is not very widespread in Europe, I was sure that at least this thing would work, and it wasn't very expensive. It was like $150 or something like this to have this board. It's Arduino compatible, so it's a stripped version of their device. It has a satellite phone capability, but I'm using only the data, so I can send a packet to it and receive where the car is. So these are the devices that I keep inside my car. The relays are very good because you can have a circuit board with many relays or only one that you need for certain cables to be short circuit. I'm using similar devices like this, but I removed the LEDs because I simply don't want anyone to see that there are relays somewhere in the car, because they're the protection of my car. So, new cars, they require a wall of computing power simply to run. They have a computer for the brakes. They have computer for the starter. They have computer for controlling the engine. They have another computer to control your speed, another computer to control the other computers, and additional stuff like this. So you have a computer for protecting your car, which obviously can be removed and replaced. So these things require power, and they are not connected when you haven't started your car. Also, they require connectivity between them. So I decided to cut the power to most of the computers in my car on 3 to 5 different places, and only me knows where these places are. And I did it in such a way that it wouldn't be impossible to repair it. It would require quite a few hours of searching where the cables are cut. So it was a very strange situation where, what if something breaks when I'm like 2,000 kilometers away from my home? I have to repair that. And that became the second issue. If you make it easily repairable, it's easily stealable. So I decided for a few of those devices to have a redundancy and nothing else. I have relays, two relays, so if one doesn't work, I'll have a switch that only can be triggered again from the Arduinos, but only if I don't detect the computers working. The other thing is the car area network is a very, very fragile network infrastructure. If you cut only one wire, it would not work at all. So I did it. I simply don't need it if the RFID card is not there. Really, it's pretty easy. So the thing that I really want to do is detect the serial number of each computer that they are replacing, and if it is not my computer that came with my car, I want to make it so that I can push 12 volts to each pair of that computer, so I can at least fry it. Because these computers are expensive, like 500 and more euros each. My startup computer was 900 euros. If I wasn't insured, it would cost me 900 euros to replace it. So it would cost these guys either 900 euros to buy a new one paired with a key, or steal a computer with a key from someone. So that would be a good idea, to read the serial number from the CAN bus, and if it is not, break everything there, fry it. At least they will suffer as much as I will suffer. I hate them. So, RFID protection, I already told you about that. Location tracking also, but I usually give my car to my brother, or if my wife wants to drive with this car, I simply want to be easy for everyone in the family to exchange cars. So one of the things that I added to the GSM walk was not only location tracking, but functionality to walk and unlock the car, and also functionality to start and stop the car via SMS. Now I'm going to replace this with Bluetooth, because it's a lot easier and it's free instead of paying for SMSs and waiting for the SMS to come. You know, SMS is a reliable service. It's not guaranteed that your SMS will arrive today. So relying on it, it's a little bit tricky. The other thing is I sabotaged not only the fuel pump, but I sabotaged all the computers in each car that I have, in such a way that if you don't know where they were sabotaged, you would think that you need to replace them. The relays are not directly connected to this Arduino. Usually I have a second Arduino, let's assume that this is an Arduino, and they're connected with 2 wires, only 2 wires. The idea is that I have a secret code here that is also kept here, and you have to send a few pulses with this code to the other Arduino, and when it receives those pulses, after that, then it will close or open the relays. That's where, if you remove this thing, you still need to know the code that it sends to the other Arduino. And both Arduinos are in different parts of the car, so if you see one of those, the other will be somewhere secret that you need to find it also. Again, these are double in each car because if something breaks, I need to replace it. I also added temperature control to my car because this was something that I did. I started using Arduino in my car simply because when it's hot outside and you enter in your car, you simply want the car to know that you are hot, it's hot outside, and you need to chill, and the air conditioning should be on, and it should be on the lowest possible temperature. And what I did was a very simple program in Arduino with a temperature sensor, and when the car starts, it checks the temperature outside, the temperature inside the chassis, and it says, okay, if the temperature outside is very hot or very cold, I will turn on the heater or the air conditioning, and I will try to make 22 degrees inside of the car. So now I don't need to actually push any buttons in the pink car to get hot or cold, no matter is it winter or summer. So yes, 30 seconds. Why 30 seconds you have to wait before you start using checking the RFID? Because I want the people that are stealing my car to be thinking, okay, we started, okay, we are ready. And no, this is one of the things, but the more important thing is that the Arduinos are not, they're separated from all the electricity of this car by relays. After you start the car, you have a relay that starts the Arduino. And this is protecting the Arduinos from frying quite a while. So they're not working, they're not connected at all to the car when someone is trying to fry all the electronics in it. And this way, when you start the car, okay, we started, yeah. 30 seconds later, no, you're not. One of the things is the fuel pump. The other thing is that you can simply directly stop the engine. Stopping the engine for me is something that it's both good and bad. It's good because you would stop the car immediately, but it's bad because it tells the people that are stealing your car that there's something wrong here. We should track the cables that are for starting your car, going to the starter. It's very easy to spot these devices because the starter cables are one of the thickest cables in your car. And the relays for those are big, pretty easy to spot. Like you don't need to search them too much. So I decided to not go by stopping my car. I'll stop it any other way possible. The GPS should, sometimes it's possible that your GPS is very slow in connecting to satellites. So for this, usually I advise you to find GPS shields that come with some cables, and you can use outside antennas or additional amplifiers for signals that are sold everywhere, and you can get better reception for your GPSs. GSM, obvious. Authentication, I told you, walk and walk, start, stop. If the car is offline, this here is very important. Why it is only when the car is started? It's simply because, first of all, the 30 seconds delay, and second of all, if this all works constantly when your car is not started, it will drain power from your battery. And if you're like me, sometimes to be out of the country for a month, it's possible that your battery will die after, while you're out. I'm thinking of adding a solar power to this thing, but I think it's enough when it's started. If they started the car, I know about that. The other thing is, one friend of mine proposed having a separate power, separate battery only for this thing, and this way I can send an SMS to the car even if it is offline. This is how I implemented the walk-on-walk mechanism, but it's on a separate Arduino. Actually, in my car currently we have 5. I'm working on getting this a little bit smaller. Okay, so the start button, my pink car doesn't have a start button. And this is something that I'm used to in the Land Cruiser. You simply enter the car and push the start button, that's it. So I'm going to implement that with one of the Arduinos. Also, SMS start stop currently doesn't work because I had to circumvent the immobilizer of my car to start it. So there are some power issues there. And the Iridium is ordered. I still don't have it at home, but I hope that by the end of this month it will be at home. Bluetooth walk-and-walk, I'm working on this, and I'll publish the code for the Bluetooth walk-and-walk for everyone on my GitHub account. Resources, and before, while we're reading that, where is it? Oops. So, I show you this RFID reader. These two are also RFID readers. They're different, but they do the same thing, work on the same frequencies with the same cards. These are just different manufacturers. Most of these don't have manuals online. The Sparkphone one has manual online, so it depends how good you are with hardware to understand how it works and how you can make it work. The other thing that I want to show you is, again, let's think about this GPS shield, GSM shield, and Arduino. This small thing here is an Arduino ICP board to upload information to the Arduino, Bluetooth, low energy, and a GPS shield. The same thing, only GSM shield is missing from here. This is how small it can be, and you actually don't need one of the boards, the ICP board. You actually need only these 3 to make it work. And these 3 can actually go to this one. These are very simple, very small. These are tiny circuits, Arduinos. I love them. Because it allows me to push this thing in a very annoying places in the car and hide it very easily. Because otherwise it's a problem. So I think that's it. Do you have any questions? Yep.
What about ACU reflashing?
What?
ACU reflashing. What if someone reflashes your ACU?
ECU, I don't care about the ECUs because this is my Arduino. Now, someone has to find it and reflash it, and also know the key that it needs to send to the other Arduino. If he's so good, he will most probably know that he can download the firmware from the Arduino and find the key there, but you need some time for that. So with cars, the only thing that you are protecting is not protecting the car to be moved really, it's making it harder for the attackers, thieves, to get out with your car, start it and leave. You cannot protect it 100%. If someone wants, they will simply remove some of the cables in your engine compartment, start your engine manually by simply giving power to the starter motor and filling the fuel directly to the carburetor or whatever you have. and they will start your car, they will move it. That's not a problem. That's a given. That's a fact. It's not very hard to do. And in some car services, they're actually doing this when they're moving your car around when it's not assembled. So it's not a very big issue. ECUs, you can replace different things in them. You can even install spy software in them. But that's a different situation. It's not protecting your car, or at least delaying the removal of your car.
Why don't you place some of Arduinos with Android phone? You have GPS, GSM, RFID.
How much time your phone is online without recharging it?
Well, about today, but you can connect it to accumulator.
Yeah, and again the same problem. These things should be at least should work at least a month without power at all, because your car may be left for a month. At least in my case, it may be left even for more time, because I have a car for off-roading, which I don't do often, and I have another car for traveling. And one of my cars is constantly in my garage. So if I leave it for 2 months, I would be very happy if I go to the car and start it and not replace the battery. Battery is a very big issue. You want small things like this thing than anything bigger. And for most of the things, I actually don't need the real computing power of the smartphone. It's good. I actually have a T61 Lenovo under the passenger seat of the pink car for storage, wireless, movies, stuff like this, but it's a completely different story. It works only when the car is started. And it requires a lot of power. Any other questions? Yeah?
You have a lot of problems with car theft in Bulgaria.
Let me explain it like this. The pink car was picked 4 times to steal something from the car, not to steal the actual car, because no one wants it. The other problem is 2 years ago I bought the Land Cruiser, and the day I bought it, the person I bought it from told me, find where you can insure it and find how to protect it, because they are stealing them a lot. Like if you have a very good new car, BMW, Toyota or whatever, you're fucked. I don't know how it is in Serbia, but in Bulgaria you're fucked. You'll be on the list of people that should be visited. Any other questions?
Why did you change the color to pink?
It's my favorite color. You can see my shoelaces. It's my favorite color. I still have problem with my marketing, because if it was me, my company would be in pink. Not marketing. They don't like pink. Any other questions?
Maybe the thieves doesn't like the pink color as well.
I still haven't convinced my wife that we have to paint the Land Cruiser pink also. It would take me a little bit more, because the Patrol is our second car. It's only for off-roading and vacations, stuff like this. She doesn't mind that. But when we are traveling across Europe with the car, she simply assumes that the gray color that we have for the Land Cruiser is better. I don't know. I'll convince her, at least try. It will be a good protection. Okay, so if there are no questions, thank you.
Yeah.